Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Pokemon Unite, the maps, the game mode, the length of the game, and ultimately how kind of like the flow of the game is and what the perception of the game is. I have a lot I want to talk about. So, one thing that I see often is the perception that Zapdos is broken. And we're not going to talk about that, but I do want to kind of lay that base like groundwork for this discussion where my perspective is that Zapdos isn't broken per se. It's actually like mostly working as intended. And while there are a few things that I would change about it in order to make it better balanced, I actually truly do believe that Zapdos is working as intended in order to achieve the goal of having a swing mechanic in the game for a game that is 10 minutes long. And that is the discussion. The discussion is the fact that the game is 10 minutes long, and in order to secure a win condition for the team that's losing, in order to have a win condition then for the team that's losing, you have to have a big swing mechanic like that. So that said, that's going to pivot us straight into the discussion about whether or not Pokemon Unite should be a longer game mode, and whether or not we should have additional maps or additional game modes that could serve as the more serious or an additional ranked mode, or just some kind of different way to play the game in a much more balanced feeling ecosystem where there doesn't have to be such a heavy swing mechanic because there's more time throughout the game in order to slowly come back and find a win condition for yourself. So let's go ahead and recap really quickly. I know we just started, but essentially, in my opinion, it feels like the 10-minute time limit on the game forces the game to have heavy swing mechanics, such as Zapdos, in order for the team to win. So if we were to take this exact same gameplay, the exact same characters, the items, how the game operates, and put it into the same map or a different game mode that was 15 or 20 minutes long, would we need that kind of a mechanic? And in my opinion, it would probably not. No, probably not. There would still probably be a large mechanic, a very important focal point of the game, some kind of a boss or some kind of big buff or something that needs to be achieved in order to get victory, or something that could help with victory or help with a comeback, but it wouldn't be the entire focal point of the game. So that sentiment of Zapdos is OP, or the first 8 minutes of the game doesn't really matter because the last 2 minutes are the only thing that matter. There is some truth in that, but not truth in the sense that it's so problematic that we need heavy changes, but truth in the fact that these type of systems exist because of the constraints on the time limit of the game. So I want to go on ahead and lead this discussion with a couple of questions. What do you think about Pokemon Unite increasing in time? Like, what if it was like a 15-minute game? Or what would you feel about having an additional game mode or an additional map that was either like 15 to 25 minutes long, somewhere in that range, like a much considerably longer game compared to the current remote stadium that we have now? I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. In my opinion, I think that they have a very specific target goal with the way that the game is operating with a 10-minute game. The game is releasing on mobile. It is a handheld game on Switch. It is a very short form, a new version and a new spin on the MOBA formula. I think that is imperative to the game's success, at least to some degree, in order to have that quick play kind of feel, even though there are quick play matches, but to have that quick play kind of feel in a game that is achieving the MOBA genre. That said, I don't personally think that, I do think that it would be fine if the game moved to 15 minutes. I think it's incredibly unlikely, but I would love to see them make a game mode that is much closer to like 15 to 25 minutes, anywhere in that range. I would be fine with any of it because I love MOBAs and I love different game modes and different maps, because I come from HOTS. I've played Infinite Crisis that had a couple of maps. I've played League of Legends that had a couple of maps, even though one of them was really the main one, but you get my point. I like playing this kind of gameplay in different scenarios. So I wonder, I don't think they'll do it. If I'm being honest, I can kind of knock this discussion off the table right now and just say, I really feel like it's unlikely that they'll ever go this direction. But as a MOBA player, I would love to see a 20-minute game with a 3-lane map that has a very traditional MOBA feel to it. You have either like a tank or like an all-rounder in the top lane, an attacker in the mid lane, an attacker and a support, or some kind of an attacker support combination in the bottom lane with like a speedster or an all-rounder or a defender in the jungle. Like a really traditional solo jungle map with a much more robust jungle, more mechanics in the game potentially in terms of like what the camps do and what the wild Pokemon do, what the mid-game objectives are like. I would literally love to see that. The reality is that Pokemon Unite has the groundwork. They have the entire framework in the bones of a MOBA. So they can take these characters, they can take these items, these systems, and they can put it into what kind of game mode or what kind of map that they want to make regardless. I mean, they can build it. It doesn't matter. All they have to do is build it and the gameplay is already there. What do you guys think about that? What do you all feel about the potential for them to not only to continue to make more maps, because I know that y'all are all going to be on board with that, but what would you feel if they did have a version of the game that was truly short form MOBA and much more traditional MOBA? The reason why I bring this up is because I actually do see the value in that. I'm not sure that I can say I see the potential in it. I really don't think that the game will go in this direction, but I would love for them to do that. I think another part of it too is it's really dependent on the player base. Like if the player base continues to grow and continues to be strong and to have strong numbers, then they can make all kinds of game modes. Even so much to the point where I could say they might have, like, let's think about it. Let's say this game is massive. I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of players, millions of players active, something like that. I don't know what it would actually need, but let's say the game is absolutely massive. They could have a ranked mode for a short form 10-minute game with a ranking and a leaderboard, and they could have a ranked mode for a long form game with its own leaderboard, its own rankings, and the whole like 20 to 25-minute game. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I would probably play both. I would, because it just seems like it would be such a fun thing to do, to take some of my favorite characters, to take my favorite game, and to play it in a much more traditional MOBA sense, but also just to experience more of what they have to offer. One thing that I've been thinking about in terms of maps and like the pacing of the game is that I'm comfortable with the idea that we might be on one map forever, but I also know that there's just so much property and so much, you know, potential locations and different things that they could bring from the Pokemon world into this game. And that comes in the form of different items, different maps, locations, different types of Pokemon. There's just so much of the actual Pokemon universe that they have to pull from you know, as source material to bring into the game that I would absolutely love to see it happen. So that's really the discussion. I would love to know your thoughts on this. What do you think about the idea of having not only more maps, because I know that's a simple yes, you know, most of y'all are going to say yes to that, but what would you feel if they actually did slightly push the game more toward that traditional MOBA feel? And it doesn't have to go as far as to say like you build your items in the game. It doesn't really even have to go that far. But what if they did have like a 20 to 25-minute map, and it was a, you know, slightly different game mode, 3-lane, maybe it has some unique objectives, something like that. I would love to know your thoughts. So as always, friends, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new, definitely drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon Unite content. Be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone that you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.